A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. And if you are watching us this afternoon, you notice that the fellow in the middle is none other than the Booch, Chris Buchanani, who joins us.
Head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, apparently.
Today. A lot that we can get into as we are a little further removed from the disaster that was out at the Rose Bowl and a little closer to homecoming. Man, there is a lot percolating around this program right now. And I don't know. I can see this thing going any number of ways, both Saturday and the remainder of the season. I think I've been saying, I think I said on this show, I know I've been saying throughout the week, that to me, we are going to find out whether the season is salvageable, not whether it will be salvaged, whether it is salvageable with what we see on Saturday. And it's not so much, I mean, certainly you have to see a win for the season to be salvageable, but beyond that, to me, it's much more about, all right, what do you see from this team in terms of enthusiasm, in terms of picking each other up, in terms of, circling the wagons, all of that stuff. Because if you don't see that this week, to me, win or lose, this is not then a situation from which they recover. Meaning, and again, I'm defining now salvageable, which I would not have said at the start of the season, but I am saying 9-3, given where this thing is right now, not where expectations were at the start of the season, but where this is right now. I'm telling you, if they get to 9-3, that is one impressive job that this coaching staff and the program will have had to have done, coming off, again, an obviously devastating loss to Oregon in the whiteout, and historically bad. And I didn't even know, Booch, that I had been asking the question on Monday, and then I went back after. I'd been asking it Monday morning and watched you and Landon talking about the very same thing. Was that the worst loss in program history? Whether or not it is where you rank it, it is certainly up there very high, and in a season that had such high expectations. That is why it feels even more devastating than a top 6 program losing to an unranked winless team 5 weeks into the season would have.
So what this reminds me of, guys, is just in terms of like, how does it kind of feel around the program? What are we seeing from week to week? It recalls that time period right after the 99 season, where we went into a little bit of a swoon with the program. And there were a lot of contributing factors to that. I think Joe himself even admitted, as we were getting out of it, that he had gotten so busy being, Joe Paterno, fundraiser, figurehead of the university, all the other jobs that kind of got lumped on his plate over the years beyond the responsibility as a head football coach, that he maybe took his eye off the ball a little bit. The recruiting dipped a little bit. The attention maybe wasn't where it was supposed to be. And all those little things, all those little cracks in the foundation, eventually enough of them accumulate and the dam bursts. And, I remember, so the 2000 season, I had the unfortunate distinction of having my first game on the air as a student broadcaster, be doing pregame, halftime, and postgame for one of the more shocking results in program history when we got tattooed by the old Toledo Rockets.
Yep.
And, that season, that 2000 season ended up as a 5-win campaign. And then it was the next year that we realized, oh, man, this is going to turn into not just one bad year.
That wasn't a bad one. That was going to be a bad couple of years.
A bad stretch.
In my years here, I'm going back to when I was a fan. That's my older brother was on the team. So 83 was like the national championship hangover. So as sort of expected, it was a senior team. But they know that Joe knew that he had a bunch of younger guys on his team.
Yeah.
So 83, I think they went 8-4 and stuff like that. But then 83 they went 84 they went 6-5. They declined bowls. I don't think Joe wanted. He just said we're not worthy of a bowl game. We're not going to a bowl. So that broke their bowl streak, if you recall, because they had gone a bowl game for forever. And then Joe knew what he had, so he like I said on Tuesday, he poop canned a lot of the older guys towards the end of the year, the 83 and 84 guys, to get those younger guys in who eventually became the 86 national champions.
Well, so
let's think about that 5-year window that Penn State had from 82 to 86. Played for 3 national titles, won 2 of them. That was the mecca of the program, I think, right then and there. Then we get into the 90s, but Joe lost that team in the late 80s. There was another national championship hangover 2 years later. It was his first losing season.
88.
Yes. So then you
lost
get
to Rutgers.
Yeah, with Dick Anderson coached Rutgers.
Yes, sir.
So then we get into the 90s, and I'm telling you, this what's going on right here, and what we're going to see Saturday. I'm going to tell you right now that if we don't see the energy, the enthusiasm, the old college try, it's the 1992 season all over again. And that in itself makes me quiver and then start shaking in bed because of how bad a time that was in my life.
I have thought about that story that you and Noble tell about that being young guys on that 92 team and just watching it crumble from inside.
No one cared.
Miami
it was
loss.
just that was when it was okay, you lost that game. We're not in the Big Ten. We were already signed up for the Blockbuster Bowl. We weren't going to play for a national title. So it's the senior class. Again, I said it on Tuesday, and that is that there was more talent on the 92 team than there was on the 94 team.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous how many guys went to the NFL from there, and guys who just didn't care.
That was
to the point. You guys know Franny Gaynor. He doesn't seem like a real, wild, crazy, fire and brimstone guy, because he's not. Halftime of the bowl game, when 90% of the guys didn't want him to be there, you could smell the liquor from the sidelines. He is throwing trash cans in the locker room, saying, "Do you not have any pride? Do you not have any of this?" And it was guys were smirking and laughing, and it was just that was us. That was us. It was been me and Brandon. Brandon's a freshman. I'm a redshirt freshman. We're just sitting there, and it was just this is how we're never gonna let this happen again. This will never happen under our watch. And Joe admitted then that he had too much on his plate and he lost his little feel for his team. That he was doing too much outside. And then so he stopped doing that, and then he created he was meeting with the players his senior lead. I'm sorry, his breakfast club. He called. He had 2 guys from each class that he would talk to once a week at breakfast, and typical old man breakfast, 6 o'clock in the morning too. It's come on, Joe. So I wasn't part of that.
I can understand.
Yeah,
Ironhead
was a weekend captain.
Let me throw this out at you, because there has been a lot of chatter. I mean, there's been a lot of chatter online about a lot of things. But
I hadn't known.
Yeah, no. It's very under the radar. Everybody's very calm. One of the things that has drawn a lot of criticism in the last 24 hours is, James had his Wednesday night after practice media availability, and he was asked about some of the players who are sitting on the bench who we're not seeing, the younger wide receivers, some of the younger linebackers. And I'm paraphrasing, but he basically just said every snap is so precious right now because of the situation that we're in, that unless you establish that you are the most trustworthy option in practice, you're not going to get any snaps in the game. And there are people who are really frustrated by saying, well, you keep going to the players you say look the most prepared in practice, and they're not getting it done. Could we maybe just try something? Maybe there's a couple Allen Iversons in there that aren't going to perform in practice, but will shine under the lights. And so since we're talking about that mid-'80s stretch and that the early 2000s, there are 3 times in Joe's career I think about where he strayed away from the play the upperclassmen because they've earned it type of situation.
Yep.
Very early on in his career, after his first season, he realized that the upperclassmen were not taking him seriously as a head coach because they knew him as the quarterbacks coach under Rip.
He was their buddy at one point, too.
Right. And so he sat them all down, and he played a bunch of young guys who, just happened to be like Mike Reed and Steve Smear,
no big deal.
Denny
Franco Harris,
Jack
Lydell
Ham.
Mitchell. Just a couple guys.
Not too shabby. And then, same thing happens with that group who were redshirting in 1982. They were true freshmen on the 82 team, so they didn't play. That's, talk about Shane Conlin and Trey Bauer and Duffy Cobb.
Trey was, sorry. Trey was not he was not in the 80.
He was not in Shane's class. He was,
he was my brother's class in 83.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, anyway, young guys who
absolutely.
played. And
I
then
told Jeff the other day, what I jumped you with the other day, who we played linebacker for the Aloha Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Manoa.
Oh, wow,
played linebacker in a bowl game against Washington. My brother played D tackle.
Joe loved turning running backs into linebackers.
Curtis Davis, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yes, sir.
1 week he had 4 tackles versus Texas Tech, and the next week he had 120 yards rushing versus Temple.
And then you go back to that 01 season, which was a crazy year because we went into it and Joe was 1 win away from tying Bear Bryant for the all-time wins record.
323.
And they started that year 0-4.
Yep.
So you had to do the same pregame package for 5 straight weeks till he finally did it. And that was on the road at Northwestern. It's interesting that Northwestern comes up a lot in his historical inflection points for the program. But do you remember Ironhead? They were at that point, they were looking around for answers. Matt Seneca, who was the senior, had been starting and just wasn't getting it done. Zach Mills, a redshirt freshman at that point, he ends up coming off the bench and winning that game. But another thing that happened in that game was Eddie Drummond, who was a senior receiver.
Yep.
And had been a really reliable part of the offense for years. These things, they inexplicably happen when seasons go south like this. The guy just forgot how to catch a football. I mean, just developed an incurable case of stone hands. So Joe and the staff looked at it and they said, okay, nothing's working. We've got Drummond, who's one of the fastest guys on the field, ended up being a Pro Bowl kick returner in the NFL.
Yep.
He can't catch the ball. We've got this stable of young running backs. We got Larry Johnson and Eric McCoo and Omar Easy. We're going to break out the old Maryland eye, and we're going to put 2 of our 3 tailbacks in the backfield together, and we're going to put Eddie Drummond deep. And no one's ever going to know who's going to carry the ball, who's going to be blocking, and we're going to create situations where we can use Drummond's speed and get him out to the edge, and he doesn't have to worry about catching the ball. He can take, pitches and run sweeps, and he can take handoffs, and we're just going to show Northwestern something they haven't seen from us, and we're going to get unconventional with the other guys on the roster. So do you think we have reached the point where it's time to chuck the who's most reliable in practice and just start – even just to shake things up in terms of what the opponent is expecting based on what they've seen on tape? We saw what happened to our defense when UCLA did that. Is it time to employ that approach and just start letting the young guys take their lumps?
Possibly. Here's the thing. It is really hard to know without seeing what's happening in practice. How wide is that gap? Is one guy, when you say the most reliable guy in practice, is like the one guy making 18 out of 20 catches and the other guy's making 17 out of 20, right. In which case I'm like, well, all right, at this point, let's see what the other guy does do in the game. If it's one guy's catching 19 and the other guy's catching 8, well, yeah, I'm not sure I want to see the guy that's only catching 8. So it's hard. It really is hard. I mean, and the backup quarterback always, when things are going wrong, always the most popular. And I have a bunch of people, and as Goon and I talked about on Tuesday, and I think Landon has talked about it a little bit too this week, and others have too. Drew Aller was not the issue this past Saturday.
He was maybe the best player on the field for Penn State.
Right. He was solid at worst for Penn State. So. Now, quarterback is a position where you can jumpstart and all of that stuff. I get it, but no is my answer to that's to me the issue all season long. The biggest issue, not the issue. The biggest issue is still that offensive line in particular, which we were all convinced, and I think with good reason. It wasn't like there was no reason to believe this offensive line would be any good. We saw it last year with basically the same group. I mean, Shanahan's in and that, but basically this is the same core group that was really good at the end of last year. And the thinking was, man, another season in the weight room, another season of working together, cohesion, and look out, this could be one of the most dominant offensive lines, not just in the Big Ten, but the entire country. And then
and theoretically, the one place where you were replacing a starter at right guard, you felt like there was maybe a chance for
to
an
upgrade. Yeah, I don't think any question that was the expectation going into the season. And then we saw the Nevada game, and it's like, all right, well, maybe
slow.
just
We haven't seen live work all year.
It's all right. We'll excuse that. Then you saw FIU, and it's like, this thing still isn't looking quite right.
It was so bad.
And then I really was zeroed in a good bit of the Villanova game in on it, and I'm watching Villanova, and there was a theme, and I didn't really. Just looking back on it now, I was attributing it to more like, man, Villanova is obviously super psyched, super pumped to be having this opportunity in Beaver Stadium, and you're watching them fly around and all of this. And I really wasn't looking at it as much. I probably should have been in retrospect. I wasn't really looking at it as, boy, Penn State just seems complacent or not into it. It was just, I was impressed with how into that game the Villanova kids were from the outset.
Yeah.
Well, and again, all of those teams ultimately got overpowered by Penn State, but in none of those games where you're like, man, Penn State clearly just superior. And these are three inferior programs. Clearly, talent-wise, that should not be any kind of a matchup, and it was. I
got a text message from a buddy this week. FIU lost by 41 points to UConn.
Well, yes, and you start going right down the line with that. That's why this Oregon Indiana game, I think, is, as we've been talking about, just going to be a fascinating watch.
Oh yeah,
but you saw Oregon come out and again embraced the whiteout crowd. They came out, they let us hear it. They were all smiles. They were all kinds of fired up, and they sustained it for 4 quarters. And again, Penn State just did not seem to be able to match the moment in terms of the overall energy. And certainly, when you go and look at what happened at UCLA, those kids were like, hey, we have nothing to lose. Let's go out, let it fly. We're going to have some fun. And it was not even close, the energy level that UCLA brought versus what Penn State brought. And so now we have a large enough sample size, for crying out loud. We're 5 games into the year. And yeah, this again, it's not that the offensive line is the only issue, but man, it is the most glaring. When you to me, we talk about the expectations of the team and the program, and obviously that has not been matched through 5 games anywhere close. But an even wider gap to me is the expectations I had for that offensive line and what we were going to see this year. And lackluster is the kindest term I can come up with for what we've seen from that group to this point in the season.
Yeah, so amazingly, Goon, somehow you and I have really not had a chance, on or off the air, too much so far this season, to talk about the O-line. And just to pick up on something Ironhead said about returning starters from last year, what gave me such confidence about our offensive line is that, as you know, that was a real pain point during the sanction era, because you had to give up player acquisition somewhere.
Yep.
You only had 65 total scholarships. And what I think a lot of people forget about the particulars of the sanctions, it wasn't just an overall cap. There was a cap on any given recruiting class that you couldn't give more than 15 scholarships. So Bill was kind of stuck in this position where
you try to make it the NFL.
Yeah. What do you do? Where do you give up? And so he went out and he continued to recruit skill position guys, which is why, we had Deshaun Hamilton and Chris Godwin and the Mike Gesicki committed already and some of that kind of talent. We were lacking on the O-line. And then that really does hurt you for a long period of time, because ideally you don't want to be playing your offensive line recruits until they've been in the program for 2-3 years.
You heard me and Noble say that. You're waiting for freshman O-line to come in and play for you. You don't have a good program.
You're in big trouble unless it's like a unique situation where you got like a Steph Wisniewski who's going to be an NFL player and he's just ahead of the curve. you rarely play a freshman offensive lineman. So you give it time, right? And, maybe you haven't recruited the right guys. Maybe your O-line coach isn't developing them the way you would hope. And so what I was so jazzed up about going into this year is I felt like we had a good enough sample size on Phil Troutwine that he's been recruiting the right players. They've been able to be in the program long enough. And you go all the way back to that Rose Bowl season in 2022, offensive line was a strength of Penn State for 3 consecutive years. So it's not just like we were returning these guys and we had seen them play well in the playoffs and down the stretch.
Great last year.
Their predecessors were great too.
They were fantastic last year at the end of the season. So everything we saw said, okay, well, we're going to dominate this year up front. I don't know what's going on other than, I said it, they don't look like they're confident in what the hell they're doing. Which is crazy to me because it's the same guys.
Yeah, we haven't even really rotated players in and out too much.
I mean, the only excuse I can give is Duncan's way too tall to be playing right guard.
It seems that way.
It just seems like he can't get the leverage and get low enough to. So it's him and Rucci. They're fighting out for right tackle, and then Shanahan I thought played very well.
I want to know where the hell Cousins is.
Where the hell is Cooper Cousins? I mean, he plays a little bit here and there. I mean, for a freshman All-American last year. I obviously could play the game. I don't know what's going on. Is he in trouble? Is he not playing well? And then I want to go back to what you guys were saying earlier about like who were we playing, who were we trusting in this and that. I mean, the old man never had to deal with. Well, we paid this guy this much money. I got to ask: is that a possibility? That we're sitting there saying, well, we promised this guy he gets 65 snaps or 65% of the plays a game.
You can't not ask the question.
It scares the living daylights out of me. If that's what's going on, and we're not playing people or afraid to replace people because we paid them so much money, or we're afraid for the other guy to transfer.
Well, along those lines, one of the things that I think is just perplexing to many of us. I think most fans are okay with the, hey, this is a results-oriented business, right? And it is a business. And so, all right, well, we are 5 games in, but even 3 games in, the disparity between the numbers that Katron Allen was putting up and what Nicholas Singleton was putting up, if it is truly to go back to this idea of, all right, or should we just be starting guys or playing guys more based on what we're seeing in practice, or should we give other guys a chance? Well, how about where we now have a pretty big sample size, and for whatever reason, maybe it is the offensive line is just blocks better when Katron's in there. Well, fine, then let's keep them blocking good and put Katron in there for whatever reason that is. But when the numbers are, again, it's not. It'd be one thing if Katron Allen's averaging 4.7 yards and Nicholas is 4.5 yards. It's like, well, you had one big run here. No, I mean, it's like a 3-yard per carry difference to this point in the season. Well, again, I'm not saying you forget about Nicholas Singleton. I'm not saying you give up on the guy. But why would Katron be getting fewer carries in a spot where you need – like that second half, you needed something to get going. It just seems like they're selective about where they are truly merit-based here. And I think that is adding to the frustration for some of us. It's like, all right, well, again, if you're seeing in practice this or that, you can't possibly be telling me Nicholas Singleton is just outperforming Katron Allen, or that they're dead even in practice. I'm not there. I can't say for sure, but it just doesn't make any sense that that's what's happening. And then we're seeing what we're seeing on Saturday. I've also been thinking probably too much about this, but it really has been, I think, a point that is worth really questioning now, which is the leadership on this team. And we had somebody, and now I'm forgetting if it was writing in here or calling in on our morning show, but somebody brought up the question of, hey, is it not concerning that a multi-year starter at quarterback is not one of your captains? And again, in the preseason, when they came out, I did think, man, that's a little odd. But I'm chalking up to that. This team is just so loaded with leaders, it doesn't matter. But to me, that is a little concerning. Again, it doesn't in and of itself mean that that's the reason this Penn State team isn't going as well as you'd want it to. But it is, I do think it's a little odd that you have a guy that was preseason being touted as a possible Heisman Trophy candidate, and again, a multi-year starter, very high expectations, and not a captain. And not all captains I've heard, well, he's not vocal. All right.
Doesn't have to be.
Paul Puslesny, you were going to tell me was Mr. Vocal?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be vocal. The other thing, so this has had me thinking a lot. Do you remember because I do, when Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen first came in, that, like right out of the gate, James Franklin talked about those two were helping to set the tone in the locker room, that here were two freshmen. Really? And one of the things that they were really impressed with, yes, they both had athletic ability, but man, they are leaders. Well, now we're at the end of their careers. Neither of them are captains. And what this leads me to questioning, and again, it is a question, and at this point, I don't know how you can't be asking it, is to what degree is what we're seeing just a result of complacency? That these guys got to the level they got to last season and listened to all of the hype, and James Franklin is out there. Yes, this is the best combination of talent, experience, coaching we've ever had. Everything is lined up here. And to some degree, maybe it's human nature, where it's like, yeah, some of that humility that got you to where you were, now you start to buy in. Yeah, you know what? We were really good here at the end of the year. We were just a step away. We got this. And maybe you don't work quite as hard in the offseason. Again, I'm not even saying this is a conscientious effort where it's like, yeah, I'll skip a couple of days. I know I'm good enough. But maybe it's, you know what, I'm tired. I know I got this. I've been playing this game. And you just get a few key guys that have that attitude. And again, I don't have any inside information. I'm not saying this is definitively what is occurring. But it is odd that we had two running backs who were cited specifically by the coaching staff as freshmen for what they were bringing in terms of leadership, and neither them nor their all-star quarterback are among the captains of the football team. That is odd to me, and especially now in retrospect. I was not sitting here telling you before the season, so I admit this is in hindsight that I'm saying this, but in hindsight, yeah, that is a little peculiar to me.
I am sitting here at the Lube just being absolutely tortured, Ironhead, listening to you talk about that connection, which I had not made between I very clearly remember those comments from Juwan Sider when those two guys were freshmen and how about they had transformed and elevated the running back room. And I am watching on one of the many flat panel TVs on which you can watch live sports when they are live to be watched here at the Lube, but instead I've got a replay of the Eagles-Broncos game, and I'm watching Landon Dickerson limping off the field, and I am just asking myself, why do I like sports?
Oh, I'm telling you.
Absolute foolishness.
There are days.
What was the prognosis?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, he's been dinged up all season.
Every day he's like the who was our guy at the left tackle?
Oh, Jason Peter.
Every game he get carried off the field once.
Stole money from NFL organizations.
I think he's still on somebody's team somewhere. He's 56 years old.
He's going to be a 63-year-old.
He went to practice and popped his toenail. Done for the season.
Well, could be joining in at Lycoming, and
there you go
with the 58-year-old there. That's
good for him.
It's been a story that's been getting a lot of good attention.
He signed a deal.
Oh yeah.
With like a recovery cream, like a Bengay a type of substance.
Yeah,
that's a marriage made in NIL.
It's
absolutely
all right.
correct.
I know we got to pop to a break.
Yep.
Here. we'll do a little tease. I'll give Goon a little time to think about this.
Ooh.
So Drew Shelton got quoted this week. It got misinterpreted by some people because when you report a quote in,
it looks different
in print, it looks different. What he was saying was, he said, the quote was, the problem with the offensive line is that 4 guys are doing what they're supposed to and 1 guy isn't. And some people took that to mean he was kind of saying 1 guy wasn't doing their job, one specific guy.
Each play.
He was saying on every play, it's 4 guys doing something right, but 1 guy and a different guy every play is doing something wrong. So I want to get your take on that, but we can play some commercials.
Yeah, take a break here. We'll continue to dissect this Penn State football team. 3-2 heading into the homecoming matchup with Northwestern on Saturday, and we are back after this.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months and get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too, and their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
All right.
Well, you see, I did that tease, and it's gonna turn into an extended tease.
Yes. Couple things before we delve into the offensive line and what is happening there. I I think most of us understand that in the overall big picture of life type of thing, lost to UCLA, actually not that consequential. Much more consequential. We lost, I think legend sometimes gets thrown around too often, but Ron Bracken was a legendary local sports writer, wrote for the Center Daily Times for over 40 years. I got to know him very early on. I started helping out behind the scenes at WRSC in 1988 and started primarily with some of the non-revenue sports, the Olympic sports, covering those for Penn State for the station, and high school sports. And inevitably, if you were covering high school sports in those days, you would run into Ron Bracken. And we just we shared a very similar sarcastic sense of humor, and so we very quickly just found each other's company enjoyable, and we would kind of sometimes try to out sarcastic one another with different takes on press conferences or games or whatever. But Ron really was, when you talk about a pro's pro, I mean, he was a guy that on the high school level understood that it was high school sports. These kids were out there busting their tails, doing the very best they could, and the coaches were working with what they had. And so, where he was critical, it was, clearly justly critical, but it was never personal. And I think you talk to the coaches and athletes he covered over the years, the word fair comes up time and time and time again. He was just really fair, loved covering local sports. Again, had a great sense of humor, was a wealth of knowledge. We talked about when Lou Prado passed, I just don't know that you can replace that treasure trove of knowledge that Lou had regarding Penn State athletics, and I feel much the same about Ron Bracken and Center County high school athletics. He was just a go-to. I would call him every now and then with questions on different things that I was working on, and almost always, if he didn't know the exact answer, he knew where to look and would dig it up and get it to me. But much more often than not, he's like, oh yeah, that was so-and-so that did this. And, and then he would have a story about so-and-so who did that. And his storytelling, which obviously is a great attribute to have as a sports writer, being a great storyteller, that is something that he was, both in writing and verbally. So, do
you know what Scott Paterno said on Twitter that it was so funny? I told him this afterward. He said one of the first things that came to mind for me when I saw the news that Ron had passed, he said, I can still picture his photo next to the story in the CDT.
Yep.
And that got me thinking. I said, I thought the same thing. I said, I saw that news, and immediately in my mind's eye, I could see the sports page with his, with his picture next to his column. And I said, for, whatever the benefits of modern media are, that there are a lot more voices available. And, sometimes if, ESPN or whoever would put somebody you really couldn't stand in a position of prominence, you were just stuck with that person. There were very few alternatives. And so I think that's good. And in many ways, I benefited from that. But there is something to be said for a time when everybody was reading the same stuff and hearing the same stuff.
Yes.
And to your point, around here, Center County, among a lot of Penn State fans, you would have an opinion on what Ron Bracken had to say because everyone was going to the same sources. And that era is just gone. You talk about you're not going to replace that knowledge base. Part of it is because there is just nobody in that kind of Walter Cronkite type role anymore.
Yep. And his T. Westbrook columns were among the funniest things that that have ever been written locally.
Yeah,
And
he had a great sense of humor.
Yeah, I know he had a lot of fun with it. And I do want to give him credit, too. I am very honored to serve on the Center County Sports Hall of Fame board, which, by the way, we will have our next induction ceremony a week from Sunday. So that is coming up in the very near future. And it is an amazing class, once again, that we are inducting this year. But if you had to pick the primary reason we have a Center County Sports Hall of Fame, the driving force behind it, it was Ron Bracken. He had the idea. I'm not even sure how far. I think it goes back to the 1980s where he was writing about I don't know why we don't have a Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
When you look at the history of football, baseball, softball, wrestling, basketball in this area. But, in particular, I mean, wrestling, baseball, softball, and football, those sports in particular. And again, a lot of greatness in other sports. State College's track and field programs have been amazing over the years. There's been, again, greatness in all of those sports. But you look at the history in a lot of the sports that he covered on a regular basis, and he's like, this has to happen. Well, eventually, he and some others, Ron Pfeiffer was very instrumental in it, was the first president of the Center County Sports Hall of Fame. But Ron was, for a long time, the leading advocate for it, and was just extremely instrumental in founding the Center County Sports Hall of Fame. And certainly his presence will be missed here when we do have that ceremony a week from Sunday up at the Penn Stater. But Ron, thank you for the memories. Thank you for all you did as a friend and as a mentor for those of us in the business. And missed just does not begin to cover the feelings of loss that we will have with Ron Bracken's passing on Monday. On a much happier note, and then we will get back to Penn State football here. Penn State hockey underway with the home opener tonight. Just off to a terrific start. 2 come from behind wins, 2 dominating third periods,
like super fun,
out at Arizona State.
Hockey
games. And the thing is, this team is so loaded with superstar talent. And what was neat to see, because the one thing that I worry is too strong of a word, but it's like, I do wonder how this is going to go, is you have some outstanding veterans. I mean, Aiden Fink about as good as they coming back from last year's team. And Dane Dowiak and the whole group. And then here come these wildly heralded freshmen, and Matt Godowski coming in as a transfer. It's like, is this thing going to all mesh? And the early indications are really, really good that, they are figuring things out as the game goes along.
That's one of the things I thought watching those games last weekend. And for people who don't follow collegiate hockey real quickly or closely, I understand you would look at it and say Arizona State hockey, how good could they possibly be? They're one of the better programs. I mean, somebody sent me a text, Ironhead, I thought it was funny. They said, Arizona State has got to be the most random school in the country to have a great ice hockey and wrestling program together, right?
Yep.
And yet, somehow they figured it out. That's a really good team. I give all credit in the world to their goalie, man.
Yes.
He did not walk away with a win in either one of those games, but he gave his team every chance to be in it. He had 40 saves in game 1.
Yep.
So that was a good opponent, a talented team, a ranked team playing at home. You had to, we've heard all about the rigors of cross-country travel. You had to go across the country basically for your first games. And they faced some adversity in both contests. They go up early in night one.
Yep.
And then leave the second period trailing 3-2.
Yep.
And then they're in a 2-0 hole to start game two. What I thought was so impressive, Ironhead, was on the road against a talented opponent and facing a goalie who was playing really well.
Really well. Yep.
That team needed to come together, and it looked to me like they did. They kind of flourished under the pressure, which when you talk about trying to get all those pieces to fit together, if they're doing that early on,
yes,
that is pretty encouraging.
Yeah, that is the thing. Those third periods in particular, it just felt like that there was almost that sixth sense of, all right, I know where this guy is going to be. And listening to these guys talk about Gavin McKenna and his feel for the game, I mean, there is a genuine appreciation for just how good this guy is at this stage. Again, 17 years old right now. And, you know, all of the expectations in the world. But you talk to the coaches and the players alike, and you just hear the same thing, that this guy just has a feel for the game and a work ethic. It's not just that, he's not working at it. It just is there. I mean, he does have obviously natural talent, but also a guy that just works his tail off and is there to help his teammates and to learn from his teammates at every step of the way. And just, listening, and I'm obviously not around the hockey program or even, on that beat, but I'm talking to some of the people that are, and I'm listening to Brian Tripp, and I'm listening to what the players are saying about the other players, listening to the way the coaches are talking. And that culture, I do think, is very similar to what Cale Sanderson has built within the wrestling room, which is and it's not an easy thing. I think people think this is just like, it just happens, and it doesn't, because when you are a guy the stature of Gavin McKenna, it is not just natural that a guy with that type of talent and expectation fit in and be a good teammate first in that locker room. And you go back over the years, and the David Taylors and the Bo Nichols and the Zane Rutherfords and Aaron Brooks and all of those guys within that wrestling program that were like superstars, and to a man, you watch them and their reaction for their teammates is always greater than what it is for themselves. And it feels like there is that type of selflessness where these guys know they're going to get their opportunities. I mean, McKenna knows he's going to be set up like he was there, and he knows he has the talent to take advantage of it when it presents itself. But that, you know what? There's a lot of other really good guys on this team, and you just get the feeling that they are genuinely wanting to see each other get their accolades as well. And it's a neat thing. And again, we're really early on, but as you said, it just feels like these guys already have a real good feel for each other, where they're going to be, what it is they're trying to do. And assuming that thing progresses the way you would like it to, it is kind of scary to think about where this team could be in January in terms of the firepower, to say nothing. I mean, I thought the defensive play was very good as well, but the offensive firepower,
keep in mind, they were playing without what's projected to be their top defenseman pairing.
Yes. And that's another whole, and they still have the battle going on at goalie. So, I think they obviously are very happy and very appreciative of what they have depth-wise there and across the board. It's just much like the football program, very high expectations. Unlike the football program, very early on, you're seeing indications that, you know what, this thing might be as good as advertised. And, we'll see obviously how it plays from here on out.
So just real quick, a couple of final thoughts for me on that. It's interesting, the age gap that exists in the locker room in college hockey versus other sports.
Yes.
That's another thing that you have to manage. Although when you talk about comparing it to wrestling, the one thing where I see a similarity, real strong similarity between hockey and wrestling, is that the culture of that sport as you are coming up, because it is somewhat of a niche sport versus like a sport that everyone played baseball, basketball, football. You do feel like there's a common bond that links together guys who have played at a high level in that sport on their way up that probably helps offset the fact that you've got a locker room with a 17-year-old superstar and a 23-year-old who's a freshman in college.
Yep.
Right. And which is taking nothing away from guys' ability to be aware of that and manage all of it. But just to talk about McKenna a little bit and sing his praises, there are stars and then there are superstars. And superstars, in addition to their talent, they have a mental aspect wherein they flourish with the spotlight.
Yep.
And so I think it was probably a good thing for Gavin, given the amount of attention being paid to him. There was a reason why those games were on the NHL network.
Yep.
Because hockey realizes that's the next superstar they already need to market, as he's linked up with a big name like Penn State for a single season.
Yep.
I thought it was pretty good that he got to go on the road and the crowd was letting him have it because he's going to be the focal point.
Yep.
And he scores that go-ahead goal in game 2 and flashes the forks down. It's like, that's a guy who is comfortable wanting the spotlight already. He knows the spotlight's going to be on him, and he's okay with it. And now he gets to come back to Happy Valley. And maybe I'm just saying this because I got tickets to tomorrow night's game from a buddy of mine who's a season ticket holder. But it's going to be a homecoming crowd.
Yeah.
You know, the place is going to be packed. And he's going to get to experience a Pagula Ice Arena home crowd.
Yep.
That's pretty exciting stuff just to think about.
Yes, that atmosphere at Pagula has been great from day one.
Yeah, as Goon just pointed out, Lamar Jackson here coming back in after missing a segment, that the majority of our hockey crowd is drawn from Penguins and Flyers fans.
Yep.
So it's a great hockey fan base in general, knowledgeable fan base.
Yeah, and listen,
and maybe
I think,
some Devils and Rangers fans, Capitals, but we won't talk about them.
By the way, Flyers open up their season tonight against the Panthers down in Florida. The Penguins have their home opener tonight. Both 7:00 starts as well. Pittsburgh at home against the New York Islanders after shutting out the Rangers to open their season
off to a
back
bad
on
start
Tuesday.
in the McKenna sweepstakes. The Penguins are.
Yes, indeed.
Now the Flyers got to go to the Panthers tonight, so
yes.
I feel better about the Flyers' start to the McKenna sweepstakes in Pittsburgh.
Fair enough. A couple of
whatever. You're not. You know you guys are getting a frozen envelope on this thing, so you're not even worried about it. Don't even worry.
Couple of other things.
Yeah. Well, 1% chance. There'll be a miraculous mathematical abnormality. Yep.
Philadelphia Eagles will try to get back on track tonight. The Eagles will be at the New York Giants. The 1-4 Giants taking on the 4-1 Eagles, and see if they maybe remember that Saquon Barkley is in the backfield. Perhaps if you get an early lead, maybe just a thought here that you'd go ahead and have him run a couple of times anyway. Just an idea. Will be interesting to see what the Eagles' offensive game plan is in that contest. And from the Penn State angle, obviously, along with Saquon, you have one Abdul Carter who is, although the Giants have been awful, Abdul Carter is off to one heck of a start to his NFL career. And I think right now, you'd probably say he's the leader in the clubhouse at the moment for rookie of the year on the defensive side of the ball.
It's interesting. There's been a lot of focus on the linebacker position for Penn State after, we struggled to contain Nico last week. And there's all these questions about, how has the devaluation of the position affected recruiting there for Penn State? Because certainly the days of the Ron Vanderlinden mold linebacker are probably coming to an end, at least temporarily in football, although always when something goes out of style, eventually someone starts doing it as a counterbalance. But you've seen Micah Parsons and Abdul Carter both go to the NFL now, and teams ultimately recognize with both of them, these guys are edge rushers. Now, we just got to turn them loose going after the quarterback. To me, it was crazy those first few games of the regular season that the Giants, for whatever reason, were trying to play Abdul like a traditional stand-up linebacker.
Yes.
I didn't understand that at all. And then finally, somewhere in that building, the dam broke, and they said, no, okay, we got to get this guy closer to the line of scrimmage, and he's been a terror.
Yes, and then some. And, so we'll see what he can get accomplished tonight. Mixed feelings, I'm sure, for those of you that are Penn State and Philadelphia Eagles fans.
It's like when Saquon was in New York, I said, I hope that he has 200 yards rushing and they lose by double digits.
Yes.
Which actually happened to the Giants on a Monday Night Football game. So I left very happy. It was great. So you know what? I hope that Abdul gets himself a sack at some point tonight and he goes home with a 21-point loss.
And Kyle Schwarber woke up and a couple of home
Ball
runs.
hasn't landed yet.
The Phillies back in this thing, needing another win in Los Angeles today to get it back to Philadelphia. How are we feeling there, dear Booch? With
do you want to know? Here's a crazy story. So I fell asleep last night, Ironhead, because I was totally gassed.
Yep.
And I woke up, and the first thing I did was I looked at my phone, and I was going to look at the score. I opened Twitter, and the first thing is I see a tweet that says, man, what a week for Pennsylvanians. Penn State loses to UCLA. Eagles lose their first game, and Phillies swept. And I was just like, enough of this. I don't even want to look at it. I closed the app, put the phone back down. And then, I was busy for like the next few hours. And Goon calls me about, hey, you want to come on the air? And he says something about the Phillies. I was like, dude, I don't even want to talk about it. And he says, what? They're still alive. It was like a total shock to me. I didn't, it wasn't until like 11 o'clock this morning that I realized we had lost the game.
That is hilarious.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
So how am I feeling about it? You know what?
Surprised.
Surprised. Where there's life, there's hope.
Always. And the extra good news is that the Yankees are done. Mets and Yankees both. Mets never even make it to the postseason. Yankees are done. Good job there, dear Blue Jays.
The only thing that's bad about that is I get mad every time a small market team wins in baseball, because that then gives the commissioner cover to not do anything about the economic system. What do you mean? What do you mean? The Toronto Blue Jays are in the ALCS. Small market team can win. It's the worst. The Royals, the Rays, now the Blue Jays, they're keeping the Pirates down, Ironhead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Royals, Rays, Blue Jays, there's like one small market team that seems to be missing from that list.
The Brewers, I guess, are in that
teams.
mix.
Yeah.
They
have a chance to close it out, obviously, today as well. Against those Cubbies at Wrigley. All right, we're going to take a break here. We really are going to get to the offensive line. Longest tease ever.
Yes, delayed tease.
We will talk about it with the dear Goon after this commercial timeout. You're listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube. And you are doing so on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all
Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7. The Fox. State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And back here on this Thursday afternoon. Hey, look at that. The Goon,
Hey, man.
The Goon
he
is back.
baby.
Lamar Jackson's back from the locker
It
room.
wasn't even Lamar Jackson this time. It was the doctor.
Back and
No, okay.
better than
All right.
ever.
Hello, how are you? Tom?
All right. So,
Well, I want to go back to the McKenna thing real quick.
All
The
right,
reason I was
please.
trying to jump in with you guys, what I was trying to say is he picked State College because it's halfway between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, which he's going to play for one of those two teams.
there you go.
Because they stink this year, and they're going to stink this year.
Yeah, there is that.
So, no,
So
I
help
did
me
say
God, by the
before-
way, if you guys get a third generational star on an 18-year cycle, I am just going to, I might quit being a hockey fan.
Well, it depends on how they give it to him this time.
Frozen lottery
Stress
ball,
the word
frozen envelope.
give.
Yes, absolutely.
Give.
We will take it.
Yeah.
I'd be
Unbelievable.
very happy to get
Absolutely unbelievable.
Mr. McKenna right in line with
Absolutely
Lemieux
unbelievable.
and Crosby. Absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
It's the way it should be.
No, no.
Huh?
No. Mal could come over here on a cargo ship. That's how close bad Russia was. But that guy's still playing, but he was still locked in the contract of the KHL. He had to come over here on a cargo ship. Think about that. Think about how far the hockey game has come and all, and Russia for that matter. I mean, he was not allowed out of the country because he was on a KHL contract, and now we have, the guy from Minnesota Wild just signed the largest contract in NHL history.
Poor Bobby Clark.
I know,
This is a
right?
Rough,
All
rough
those
day
guys.
for him.
Bernie Perrant died a pauper. Damn it, man. Nah. I did just throw this out there. I know we're talking O-line, but Bernie Perrant got buried last week. He had a memorial down in the Philadelphia area, but his urn where his ashes were was a mini Stanley Cup. And that's how he's
That's
gonna be
awesome.
remembered.
Did you ever meet Bernie Perrant?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
One time.
what a dude.
Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, you drinking beer, hey? Oh, you like that? You like that? We like to drink beer too. He was the best.
Hockey players are typically a lot of fun.
They are. Very down to earth.
Yes. Down to earth is the description. So
approachable too.
Yes. So Franco Harris was like the most approachable, what I would describe as a superstar in any like celebrity that I've ever met.
Yep.
But like the few interactions I have had, and Bernie Perrant was one of them, with like legit NHL stars. Not a one of them was egotistical. They were you could just talk to him like a regular guy.
Yeah. I mean, I say this often too, and I've always thought that hockey players the most approachable. But I don't know if you ever gone down to spring training. The players are really approachable, especially the former players. Because they go out to that tiki bar out in left field.
Oh,
and
right.
I remember sitting there one time. I'm sitting there drinking next to Kruk and Dalton. And then Ryan Howard comes out, and
imagine that.
And I almost said Ryan Marsh, but I meant Jason Worth. Similar.
Same haircut.
Similar build and beard.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk about this offensive
O-line.
line.
So four guys doing the right thing, one guy doing something wrong.
Well, that's not an uncommon thing. I mean, it just seems like I think he's just trying to spread the blame that it's not one person. He just says it's just like it's not coming
a different
together.
Guy on different plays.
And that's the way. That just seems like the way this whole season is going for the whole offense. It's just like for this whole team. It's like, okay, well, the running game's not there. The passing game is on, but the running game sucks. The running game's good, but the passing game, it's just like nothing has clicked.
I remember going back
or defensively.
Going back like 3 seasons. Nick Dawkins would get in relief, and he was playing guard at that point. And you and I would say to each other, man, Dawkins looks pretty good. When he gets his shot, he's going to be a player. And he was so good last season. And he's having so many struggles this year. And one of the things that I typically hear, Goon, getting blamed for miscues on the offensive line, especially these days when I feel like there's probably more rotation at the position than when you guys were playing, is that the 5 guys together as a unit don't develop cohesion and familiarity with each other. And you felt like that wasn't going to be an issue with a group that had played together so much. And we're really not rotating the players.
They talked about how we have 6 or 7 starters, and then you really don't see them the whole season. You don't see Shanahan. You don't see
Shanahan. Really has just been in the last week or so.
Week or 2. Yeah, and you're wondering like what the hell is going on here. Like I said, Cooper Cousins is a freshman All-American last year. He's barely on the field this year, and it just seems they're just taking the right guard though. So. I mean, we were different because we flip-flopped. We played long and short, so it was easy for me to jump in if you would need another tackle where, left tackle's pretty finesse. It's for a right-handed guy, left tackle's pretty hard. You know what I mean? So you got to, it's one of those things. It's like you're just not going to just pop somebody out there. Like we compared Bill O'Brien's offensive line recruiting to the NFL and how they had 8 guys and 8 guys can know, you have to know all 4 positions, all 5 positions type of thing. But we can get away with it. But that, it hurts you in practice. And, it hurts you when guys start getting hurt. And that's what ended up happening back in the day. But you look at the NFL, I mean, you can pop a guy from right guard to left tackle, and sort of get away with it a little bit because these guys are pretty good. But you're asking a lot for a college kid to be able to do that. So. Yeah. But again, I go back to what I'm seeing. That is, it's almost like we don't know. I mean, which is just amazing to me because we didn't change the offense. We didn't change the offensive coordinator. We didn't change the blocking schemes. Why was it working all the way last year to this year not working at all? What in the hell is the difference? Is Tyler Warren that big of a difference on the blocking? I mean, that's the only difference we got going on right now. Or are we just so stagnant on offense?
I think Khalil Jenkins has been blocking well.
I believe so too.
Really well.
I think he's an animal. I think he's great.
So that I don't even.
You can't put it on any. There's no one you can put it on. I would say the right side has struggled mightily versus Oregon. I will say that. But I thought they picked up a little bit last week. Not great, but they picked it up a little bit. But again, we're going against UCLA versus Oregon, so it is the most frustrating thing to watch, and that is that you think that this is our strength, and you really, really go hammer that strength, and you're really going to, base your whole team around the strength of your team, and that's your offensive line, and it's not performing right now. And I've said before, and about us losing, no one feels worse than the coaches and the players right now. But I mean, as an offensive lineman, I know that they're starting to feel the pressure, and we're proud people, we're proud guys, and I guarantee you they're very they're upset about it.
Can I push back on that for a moment?
Well, they're not proud?
No. I am generally somebody who is on the sliding scale of things, they may not feel like this way, but I tend to be more defensive of the players especially, but even the coaches. Here is one place where I have heard this, and I'm not sure I believe it's true anymore, that no one feels worse than the players and the coaches. I don't think that is correct. I don't think that's true because let me just be upfront about it. You got a bunch of guys who have contracts to do a job with no performance incentive. In fact, they are structured in such a way that the worse they are at their jobs, the faster they will be paid the balance of what they're owed. And the same is basically true of the players. So you know what? Like when I can still tell you about how miserable I was inside Beaver Stadium in 1999 on homecoming or watching the 2008 Iowa game or talk about losing to Dick Anderson and Rutgers when I'm barely even old enough to remember it. No, you know what? I'm not being made a multimillionaire by this. In fact, I'm spending my own money and being constantly harangued to donate more. Otherwise, it's my fault that we lose. No, it bothers me considerably more than it bothers the coaches and the players.
I am looking at one thing this weekend, and that is this team's effort. Because if there's not effort, they have given up, and then it's got to go. We got to blow it up. I'm sorry. That's just the way. I'm going to give them one more shot. And if they don't come out and perform Saturday where they're like, well, I'm getting paid, I'm going to the NFL, or I don't care, I got paid, then I'm done with them. Then I'm done with the whole program. But I'm not willing to do that yet.
Sure. No, sure.
And
let me just say one other thing.
If they come out against Northwestern, and it's Northwestern, but it's also homecoming, but, I've always, historically, the homecoming crowd has always been like the older crowd, like the mid-80s, 90s fans, like, oh, great play, guys, great play. They're not the rabid, crazy people. But with that said, these people are rabid and crazy because they want good for Penn State football.
Yes.
And if we don't have the audacity and the inner fortitude, you know what I'm talking about, to go out there and really, really, really perform and get it right and win big, win convincingly, look good, okay, that's a momentum builder. There's one block. Let's get the next block next week. Okay? If that doesn't happen this weekend, pack it up. If they come out slow and they play slow the whole day and it's just they're going to get booed. They are going to get booed, and it's going to become the us versus them mentality they're going to have. And I hate the fact that that's going to happen. But if they don't come out and perform and come out and show effort, the fans will turn on them because it is time to blow it up. Because there's no excuse.
The folks, if they're watching online versus listening on 98.7 The Fox, you see him wearing an Eagles sweatshirt right now. I'm happy to talk about booing and the rationale behind it and everything, but I do just want to add one other point about it bothers me more than it bothers the players. That's the way it should be. Like if we come on here and we do a bad show, we wasted 2 hours of people's time, but then we got to not do a bad show the next show and just forget that we did a bad show.
Come in prepared and you're ready to go.
One of the things I have learned over the years, talking to Noble, and it's been interesting for both ways, to talk to somebody who, like you guys did, played at the highest level, and then in the college game, and then did it as a job for so long, and then does it as a coach, to hear his perspective on it. And then for him to watch Horn and me like frantically pacing around and like see our entire week ruined by a loss and all these things.
It is rather impressive, but go ahead.
Psychologically, it shouldn't bother the players and the coaches in the same way because they're the ones who have to flush it and move on, right? They're the ones who have to have the short memory. And so I think one of the problems was, and James even said this in his press availabilities this week, is that we let Oregon beat us twice. Those guys took that loss on the road with them.
That is James Franklin's 1-0 mentality, which I said from the start I agree with, but I don't like it after losses. You don't move on from a loss. You need to learn from a loss. Well, guess what we did? We didn't move on from that Oregon game, and he supposedly says, okay, like I say, one mistake turns into two if you let it fester in your head.
Yeah.
And it did. And then he sits there and he says, oh, we were just emotionally drained from the week before. That's on you, James. I'm sorry. I've supported the man in a lot of ways, but when that came out of his mouth, that is on you. They weren't ready to play because you let it fester with them, and including himself too. I wish he would say, I'm not over that loss last week. He should have said something like that. And then it brings up the travel again. Like, hey, man, we got to figure it out sometime. Like how many years in a row has this been a problem?
You can't say after Ohio State went out to Washington, which is has the reputation of being one of the toughest environments to play in, and blew their doors off. Like you can't say the word travel. You just can't say it. Like even if you're thinking it, just don't say it.
Well, their airport's bigger.
Also,
it's all about the airport, Booch. Come on down, Ironhead.
Yes on all of that. Also, though, it also falls on the team leadership.
Sure.
Right? Because the one thing it's one thing for coaches to say, all right, guys, let's go over the film. This is what we could have done better. Now let's forget about it and move on. What I really am struggling with the and to your point, Booch, the fans, we should have been depressed all week after the Oregon game. We expended a lot of energy, a lot of money, all of that into that. And
some of us had to stay up way past our bedtimes, right?
Way past our bedtime.
According to you specifically sleeping through the Phillies game. Come on.
I didn't get home till 1:30 that night.
I'm the smart
5
man.
hours past my bedtime for crying out
I'm the
loud.
smart one on night games, boys.
So here is the thing.
You are.
The players, though, right? So, and we even talked about going into that Oregon game. Like they can lose this game, and while it'll be devastating in the moment, everything that they want to accomplish is in front of it. Well, we're talking about this experienced, savvy team that's coming back. How are they not getting together individually and collectively that week and saying, man, guys, like that was tough, but let's make sure we get our act together here, because everything that we wanted this season to be, Big Ten champions, national champions, into the glory of college football, it is still in front of us. That was a tough loss. On one hand, I guess, yes, it's excusable because, man, it's human nature and all of that. We're told all the time. Joe Paterno used to talk about it all of the time. These are they're college kids. They're resilient.
Yeah.
You think you're invincible, and even when you have that setback, your mindset is, nope, I'm back to being invincible, and you chalk it up as an excuse, or we blew one assignment here or there, and right back at it. The lack of passion, and I can even forgive. All right. You know what? That first half was, they were still had the hangover. UCLA came out. We were a little surprised by their energy level. I'll even excuse the first half as far as it goes. How are you not a senior-led team, a veteran team that went through the experiences of last year, not coming out on fire with all kinds of energy and hype in that second half? That, man, we are not going to let this opportunity.
How do you not look at the tape of UCLA through the first 4 weeks and say, I am taking all my aggression out on these guys?
And instead they continue to get pushed around. Second half.
So you'll remember this very clearly. After the 2005 team ate its only loss of the season, heartbreaker, at the Big House versus Michigan, the next week, they're going on the road to play Illinois on Illinois' homecoming. And Illinois had his quarterback by the name of Tim Brasic. And poor Tim probably should have retired from the sport of football sometime between Monday and Friday of that week.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because that team was so frustrated, and they just laid the lumber to Illinois so bad. And poor Tim Brasic.
Remember Tamba? That
practically was murdered by Tamba Howell.
Tamba didn't even – he held off. He pulled up.
He sure did.
He could have maimed that kid.
Yeah. He pulled up because he said, I realized at the last second
he was defenseless.
I might seriously
knocked
hurt
him
this
down.
guy.
And that's unbelievable at that time. And you're right. That was 20 years ago. But those guys, I mean, you're supposed to have that hangover after a horrible loss.
I thought it was 20 minutes ago is how it feels to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah. So we have two horrible losses 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But then there's a team right there. I mean, again, like you just said, I think, what was the score? 70-7? Like 60-3? I mean, we destroyed that Illinois team that night. Obliterated. Just destroyed them. Ran them off the field. It was like, okay.
Because it wouldn't have mattered who was lined up against Penn State that night. They were going to kick the crap out of them.
Yep.
And it's just disheartening that they're watching the film and they're just, it just seemed like it was a lackadaisical effort from the players and coaches this past weekend from top to bottom of just being like, hey, we're going to run all over these guys because I'm just as guilty. Well, I sat there on 4 radio shows last week. Wow, this is just what the doctor ordered. You got a short week, a long trip. You're going to do some team bonding and all this, and you're getting away from State College where all the negativity about Oregon is out there. And then we go out to California, beautiful skies, this and that. Let's go out and kick the crap out of UCLA. No, we're still going to talk about the Oregon loss 2 weeks later and worrying about that and let UCLA just run roughshod all over us with a guy calling offensive plays. Did you hear the story about Neuheisel's kid? He said it 2 times he called 4th down plays with his microphone up. So he had his microphone in the air. And for those on the TV on Facebook can watch that. But he made 2 4th down calls, and the quarterback was like he didn't hear it. He just called his own play, and we still couldn't stop it. And the answer was, well, if Rojas was here, he'd have spied him. Well, he's not there. He was out as of Tuesday. But even on the second half, at halftime, are we not saying, hey, let's get a spy on that guy? Just like I said, the fourth quarter, everybody and their mother, including my wife, said, hey, they're going to do that safety thing at the end of this game. My wife said that. The safety thing.
So what I didn't understand about this,
they're going to do the safety thing is what she said. I'm like, you're right. They're going to. And I was like, they're not rushing. Why are they not rushing any? Why are they not? What are we doing?
So so you're in a do or die situation, and look, you're paid to have.
What's your bad news? You bring the worst out of me, Chris.
I'm sorry. You're paid to have the football knowledge to be able to anticipate that they're going to try to run around in the end zone and take the intentional safety to run clock. There had, not for nothing, been 2 games, one at the college, one at the pro level, where exactly that had played out in the week before.
That's what
Indiana,
Carrie
Iowa,
asked me. Why did they do that? And I explained it to her.
Right.
At the Eagles game.
But here's what I really don't understand, Head. This is what confuses me in that 4th down situation at the end of the game. Even if you didn't think about it, even if it didn't occur to you, even if you weren't thinking about those examples from the games in the week prior, they're still punting out of the shadow of their own goalposts. You're running out of time. You've already blocked one. Why don't you bring 11 just to try to block it? If you think they're going to punt, why aren't you rushing the punt to try to block?
There was no sense of urgency at all at any time all last week, especially into that game. Top to bottom, no sense of urgency. We got it. We'll get them. Hey, man, it's fourth quarter, less than 2 minutes. We'll get them.
Did you
should have gotten them.
Ironhead, did you read Rich Scarcello's column about lack of accountability? I think it just published today.
I did not. I've not seen that one.
So Rich, I'm almost like 99% positive it was Rich. If I'm attributing it to Rich and it was somebody else, I apologize. Rich is getting up there. Just let him take the credit for it.
Absolutely.
He's the dean. He has seniority on the beat.
No doubt.
So the column basically was talking about how we preach accountability, and yet, you were talking before about the disparity in performance between Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. He talked about Dejon Lane steps out of position prior to the onside kick and sets UCLA up for an easy recovery. And you just don't feel like guys who are making clear mistakes on the field are facing consequences. They're not being sat down. They're not
years ago,
snaps.
I got mad when we had a personal foul late in the game. And the kid stayed in the huddle and played it. I'm like, he should have been out of the game.
Well, Dinkins was another example of that.
But on the sideline, should have been getting chewed up and down, and then saying, "You know what you did, learn from it, and go." But no, it's just okay. Next play.
The 2 4th down offsides are veteran. Like how?
That's high school stuff.
Yes, and listen, I mean there are pros that make that mistake, so it's not that I don't like the inexcusable thing. It's like, yes, it shouldn't happen. Also, human beings and we all do dumb stuff from time to time. But to do it twice and for that and both be veteran players in key spots, like. I mean, it shouldn't happen, period. And yes, I mean, even with freshmen and all of that, we agree. We'll watch the football. Once it happens once, though, like veteran players in particular should like, all right, man, next time we get in that situation, like, again, I'm not a big fan of the inexcusable word because it's sports and the human beings and we do dumb stuff. But, man, that is as close to inexcusable as you're going to see in sports. Like, come on, you have to know what the other team is going to be trying to do. They've already done it once. You have to be saying to yourself, no matter what I do here, no matter how much he tries, I'm going to watch the football, and not until that snap am I going to go. And, no, and that stuff is infuriating. And maybe I didn't read the column. I'll check it out. Yep. In fairness, I don't know. Maybe there's extra laps being run. Maybe there are discussions going on, and kids are getting slapped metaphorically upside the head.
Yes. Holy crap!
Let me be clear. Metaphorically,
just to be clear.
But really, I keep coming back to the leadership on this team just seems to be lacking through 5 games because they're making crazy mental errors. And if you say that's all coaching, fine. Coaching and leadership, that combination, things that just should not be happening really to any big-time college team, but certainly not to a veteran team that is expecting to compete for a national title. It is crazy. Again, what we're seeing in terms of lack of physical dominance like we saw last year, but combine that now with just the I think not inexcusable because the number of errors, it is stunning. The number of mental mistakes and seemingly not prepared for what clearly should be expected, whether it is the quarterback scrambling around, whether it is the safety at the end of the game, whether it is a hard count on 4th down. Like, how are you not prepared, or at least looking like you're not prepared for any of this stuff? The onside kick.
Yeah, it just seems like a lack of urgency from everywhere. Yeah. Like it's like okay, we're gonna be okay,
and a lack of accountability.
But we have a lack of
to your
like
point.
we when we needed it against Oregon, we made that big comeback, and then it was like, okay, let's go right back to the way we were thinking before, and like, okay, we got these guys. No, you got to have the killer mentality, man. You got to go out to Ohio State to UCLA with the mentality. We're gonna put 40 on them in the first quarter, and we're gonna finish them and beat them up. That's it. And but we went out there and just being like, well, we're good enough. We're gonna kill these guys. Guess what? It's a pretty good. Anybody can beat anybody on Saturdays. We've proved that this past week. Yeah. But again, there was no urgency from the players, from the coaches, from anybody.
It was Rich. It was Rich who wrote that article.
Did you call him the old man too?
For the Reading Eagle.
Yeah.
I called him.
Did he fax it in?
Veteran sports writer. How's that? You don't like to say inexcusable, Ironhead. I understand that, but I will say inexplicable because given the senior leadership on the team, and the other thing that's crazy to me is for years and years, Penn State's been one of the least penalized teams in college football. Well, we very rarely have these James Franklin coached teams sabotaged themselves with bad penalties.
Yes, this is the thing. Yes, we're seeing a lot of things that you thought that have not been problems over the years, and the one thing that I think James Franklin has done a pretty good job of over the years is adjusting to mistakes that were made. There was the first half problems, the second half problems. They seem to get through all of that. There was the time management, all of these things. And it's like it's just all got thrown out the window these last 2 weeks. And it
which is what I'd like to do with this TV show and the replay of the Eagles-Broncos game. Yeah. Oh, look, they're up 17-3. I think we're going to win this one.
But it's not just that the expectations were high from outside the building, right? I mean, James Franklin is the one, and I think appropriately saying, man, we have this is the best coaching staff we've had since I've been here.
Well, 100% agreed when you said
depth.
that.
Yes, this is the most depth. the most everything. Like everything was lined up perfectly, and we talked about it. I think the schedule. I keep thinking more about it, and I'm more and more convinced that the lack of not having a Power 4 conference team in those first 3 games, I still think had zero to do with what we've seen these last couple of weeks. These guys overwhelmingly were in big games. I'm just not buying that had anything to do. That if only they had played a West Virginia or a Kansas.
I'm with you.
Then by God, they would have beaten Oregon, and I don't think that is it. I think they just would have had another at least closer game earlier in the season, and more questions would have been raised. But again, the red flags were there through those first 3 games. The hope was that they'll take that bye week, really zero in on some things, and come out and look more like the team we saw at the end of last season. And it just hasn't happened. And it's not that I think that I think Andy Kotelnicki, I keep reading this stuff that they're just unimaginative. I don't think that's necessarily the case. Maybe not imaginative in the right ways with this offense, but they are still doing a lot of motion, a lot of different things, but they're making mistakes within
the center snapping the ball early twice.
And even guys like Luke Reynolds, I love, but man, he's dropped a couple of balls. It's like, dude, and I think he's a big time player, and I'm not saying I want him benched or anything like that. But like even the guys, I mean, Trevor Pena has been great, but also had all of these guys have had a play or two. And again, nobody's going to be perfect. I'm not saying that. Tyler Warren had a drop ball or 2 last year, but the combination of it just feels like they are not dialed in the way they were last season. And why that is, I think a lot of people are going to point to the money, and that may be part of it.
Well, I'm
don't
going to
know.
ask that
Something
question right
is
now.
not right in that locker
Do you think the locker room is run by money? And that is, it's no longer leaders. It's who makes the most money is the leader. Or is the guy who makes more money?
That's not what the captaincies would say.
Well, or is it a captain who's making $25,000 and trying to talk to somebody and talk down to a guy who's making $1 million? He's going to say, "F you, I don't." Is that what's going on? Are we not taking any kind of teaching or any kind of leadership at all? I mean, again, look at our quarterback and 2 running backs. They're supposed to be our team leaders. They're not captains.
Well, going back to
that's crazy to me.
The lack of performance incentive. One of the things I've been talking about with Noble is I said,
you're exactly right. All this money is guaranteed. It's like I'm getting paid
we've removed a crucial aspect. We're saying it's getting more and more like the NFL
this year to get your bump up in money.
Right. It's getting more and more like the NFL, except in one way, which is in the NFL, if you don't perform, you get cut, you don't get paid anymore. It's not a deal where the NFL says, hey, because of what you've done previously, here is all of your money guaranteed. And by the way, especially this year, because every school was rushing to get in ahead of the July 1 rev share cap, not only is all your money guaranteed, it's already in your bank account. It's gone. We've paid you. I'm not even saying that these guys are being consciously lazy. What I'm saying is it is human nature that when you get comfy,
you're not hungry, man,
stuff starts to slide. Hungry dogs hunt, right? And so in the NFL, they were like, oh, well, it's just like the NFL. It's not, because in the NFL, if you're not up to snuff, you get called into the coach's office and you get sent to the practice squad if you're lucky.
What other business in this world that is anywhere successful is that the case? Oh, we're going to pay you on everything you've done before, but you do not have to earn this money, but here's a lot of money.
And again, I'm not even trying to say that they're goofing off.
No, I'm not.
I'm just trying to say
we're just trying to figure it the hell out.
This situation, and this is the case across the entire sport. It's like this. When you're looking at the situation, you're trying to explain how in the world could this have happened. To me, I'm an Occam's razor guy, and there's a pretty clear, to me, obvious explanation that is also the simplest, which is when you hand an 18 to 22-year-old kid a lot of money up front, they don't always handle it so well.
Hell no.
Right? I mean, it's not.
How many times have I said
science.
it? How many times do you have to hear me and Noble say, we'd be in prison?
Oh yeah, sure. I give them all the credit in the world.
You gave me $100,000. You gave me $10,000.
Absolutely. If I
First
lived in
of
a
all,
world
my father
where,
and mother, my father and mother knew me, they would say, "Give it to me right now."
yeah.
That's exactly what would happen. And I'd say, and they'd be
if
doing
I,
a smart
as an
thing.
undergrad, would have lived in a world where somebody handed me $250,000, and also everyone had a high definition camcorder in their pocket that could send videos around the world in half a second, I would have been in Guantanamo Bay before the end of the fall semester, right? Like, so I give them all the credit in the world for surviving as well as they have. But, you know,
we have some fraternity recording me and Brandon Oble at 5 o'clock in the morning in their bar playing the 6-inch punch game with our faces.
And now you have all those.
We both have
now you have all those dental
issues.
issues.
We both have significant dental issues on the right side of our faces. I don't know why. I wonder how that happened. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I mean, it does scare the hell out of me because it's like, okay, it's always been addressed before. I mean, I think James has got his thumb on a lot of stuff, right? And it just, I think that he never got over that Oregon game. I really, really feel that. I mean, he looked stunned on Saturday, stunned at times, like bizarrely lost at times. And like, I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but he got a play sheet in front of him and he's pulling a microphone down.
Yeah.
When the offense has the ball. So I don't know what's going on there. I mean, that's been his bugaboo for a long time. And that is, he likes to meddle with the offense a little bit. I don't know if that's going on. If he's mad with Kodolnicki, if Kodolnicki asked, I don't know what's going on there. If he's even doing it, I don't know. But we're going to see this first half this week how this team comes out. And if they win by 10 points, it's going to be a loss to me. I really do truly feel like that.
Yeah, it's more about kind of what we see and what we feel about how we see, to me.
If James says he didn't get over the Oregon game,
front.
then he knows to tell these guys to get over this freaking UCLA game. We have another game this week. Get over it. He needs to hammer that home.
Yeah, just way too many mistakes being made for a senior laden team that you know, by all accounts, has top level coaching across the board. Like it just is something that makes you shake your head and shake your fist in frustration. We'll take a break here and be back with a final segment on our Thursday show after this on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit during the break as we welcome you back. Our Thursday edition. Chris Buchanani sitting in with Goon and Ironhead here today.
Hello. Therapeutic, guys. Thank you.
Yes, at Quaker Steak Lube.
It is.
As we get ready for hockey season. And, at the end of baseball. No.
Go Birds.
So
Go Birds is right.
Listen, one of the things that is, and we discussed it during the break, so I wanted to bring it up in this final segment as well, because there is a lot of discussion. And I will say, I think I will be joined by a lot of Penn State fans in keeping a very close eye on that Missouri-Alabama game on Saturday.
Yes.
Because Bo Pribula is off to a great start. I do want to see how well that carries over into this Alabama game, what he and Missouri look like against what now looks again to be on again and off again with the game. Alabama bandwagon, but folks are back on it for the time being.
Is that a night game?
I think it's a late afternoon.
Okay,
game.
so we're all at the same time because Indiana, Oregon's 3:30 also, right?
I might be wrong.
I'm very interested in that game. Very interested to see.
Well, yes.
Is it Oregon? Is it Indiana? What's going on here?
So let's while Head's looking up the kick times.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to. I mean, he's talking about Bo Pribula. So, I mean, people are saying we've made the wrong choice again. And this goes back to the Sean Clifford and Will Levis situation.
Yeah.
Do you think the Stars are playing into that?
Maybe in the case of Drew Aller, I think it does to some extent. There's loyalty to a fault. James kind of has that same DNA as Joe. Loves to stick with his guys. I do think we don't want to be perceived as a program that sat a 5-star, #1 overall recruit. I think that's largely paranoia, but I do believe that belief is in there. I do just want to go back for a second. I think there was this narrative out there that it would have been better to go to Levis over Sean Clifford. I think Sean was the better quarterback for Penn State's offense. I think a lot of the success he had at Kentucky was because that offense was specifically tailored for a guy who had his specific skill set, which was he was basically a fullback who could throw the ball a mile.
Yep.
I don't know that Penn State would have had similar or perhaps even a little bit worse success with Will Levis at quarterback running the offense Penn State had than they did with Sean. So I don't know if it's fair to say we picked the wrong guy again.
Pribula throw the ball.
Right.
He just went in there, did the RPO, running the line of scrimmage.
It's
mutantly get a couple yards in this. Now I never saw the guy throw the ball hardly.
Yeah, it's tough for me to argue that
Wisconsin or
that we
did.
It's tough for me to argue that we picked the right guy this time. I have a tough time saying that.
I understand, but do you think we're paying too much? Like, okay, we had 2 5-star. We have to make these 5 stars work. or we don't want to be known as the place for 5 stars go to die.
I have said for a while that one of the curses that we have right now is that we are right on that cusp of having just too few 5-star recruits in the building, that it still feels special to have chosen Penn State as a 5-star recruit. Like if you're at Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State, nobody cares that you were a 5-star recruit because, hey, guess what? So's a guy in front of you on the depth chart, and next year we're going to go get another 5-star recruit to compete with you. So you don't expect the royal treatment. You're not Micah Parsons, who we have to treat with kid gloves because you're the only royalty in the building.
Yep.
And so I do think that we're at a point right now where maybe sometimes the whole I come in with the 5-star entitlement ends up working against locker room cohesion and our willingness to coach these guys tough. I don't understand. To me, when I look at the situation with the running backs, I think the greatest tragedy of all of this is had Nick gotten sat down early, you could have treated that like a teaching moment and said, hey, Nick, you know, this our rule here is the best players will play. You should compete in everything you do, and you have to be willing to sacrifice. Well, Katron has outcompeted you, and you're going to have to sacrifice some playing time. But this is not a permanent condition. You can go out, you can get your head right.
I see you every day at practice.
Yeah, and we can get you back in this. Yes, absolutely. But now, almost halfway through the season, if you sit him down, I think that's maybe a psychological issue he struggles to come back from.
Well,
and to me, that's because you again, going back to Rich's article, you maybe failed to hold him accountable, but it wouldn't matter.
To punish players because they're going to transfer out, or they're going to be. It'll be conceived that
is definitely an element.
We can't coach, but that's bullshit. We just coached Tyler Warren, the NFL Rookie of the Year offense and the Rookie of the Year in defense are both going to be Penn State guys. Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren are going to do this. So you can't.
Well, and Tyler Warren sat behind 2 other tight ends who are now also both starting in the NFL and having very good careers. And he could have left, but he didn't. So maybe you just have to look at it and say, hey, you know what? Here's the reality of college football in 2025.
Yeah.
Certain kids are not going to be able to handle having their roles reduced, and they're going to leave. And you know what? When they do, they are welcome to not let the door hit their butts on the way out. And that's just got to be it.
If you want to play this next man up mentality, then you got to act on it. You got to enforce it. Say, okay, you're not playing right now. You're not going to play. Okay, I'm going to sit you down for a couple series. Think about this. You go off sides. Come on, that's inexcusable or excusable, whatever. But okay, one time. I got it. The one time. You made a mistake. Then we do it again. And it's like, come on, guys.
Oh, and the unsportsmanlike conduct penalties drive me insane. That there's no consequence to that. That's a real problem. I mean, that's a problem to your team discipline. I think it's an issue to the locker room. Yes. So you're getting me worked up, Goon.
I know. Listen. I have a couple things that I've heard. Okay, and there's no reason to say who it came from.
Right.
But I could not believe what I was reading. I was like, holy crap, that's a lot. There's a lot of truth to that. And one is that if you recruit talent over culture, and culture being players, as in like players who fit your culture. If you're recruiting talent over that, you're going to have a massive fall down, a massive, this come to Jesus. Okay, this isn't working. Blow it up. Okay, and then I also have heard
culture eats strategy for lunch. I read that in a column this week.
And there's another one, the analogy, and Booch, you'll get this, and that's the Andy Reid analogy. And that is the kids know what they can get away with. I mean, I and Booch are both Eagle fans. We are both Andy Reid fans, but when he was the coach of the Eagles the last year, it was time for him to go.
Taco Tuesday.
It was time for him to go, man. It was it. It was like he had done his time. It's like it was stagnant. The players didn't get better. The players didn't respect him. They knew what to get away with, and they were getting away with whatever they would try. And it was just like it needed to be blown out. It needed to be moved on. So there's a lot of that going in there. And again, this weekend is freaking super important to me to see how these kids play. And that's from an ex-player, from a guy who loves this program, loves this school, loves this athletic department. I love this coaching staff. I mean, they are all good people. But if it's time to go, it's time to go. And we're going to see this weekend if these guys are ready to play.
Yeah, a couple of things. I am fascinated by how quickly now, and I'm with you, so I'm joining in as well. But what have we talked about the last 3 years as maybe the biggest strength that James Franklin has? Man, he has a culture. These guys are all in. We talked about it before last season, Goon, that we were curious to see how Ohio State would handle if they did lose that Oregon game, which they ended up losing early. Yes, could that thing just come apart?
Colorado.
And not only did they lose that, they lost the Michigan game, and it still didn't fall apart. Instead, they rallied. So you can have a lot of money invested, big money, and not have it impact your culture. I would argue Ryan Day does as good a job as anybody in keeping that culture. Truthfully, while the Oregon loss was frustrating, I didn't hear anybody, including us, we weren't saying, man, the culture at Penn State, that's the problem. Now, after the UCLA game, I think reasonably, it's like a question that this team this year, what has happened to that culture? Has anything happened to that culture? Maybe the culture is still there. Maybe in that locker room they are pulling together. Again, it did not have that feel that it had certainly last year and really the last couple of years that, hey, we are all in this together.
They leaned on leadership for that.
Yes. And so I think it is a fair question that, did something happen to that culture? And to me, the question is complacency. Like, I don't think it's that these guys are here just for the money and forget Penn State, all of that. But and listen, I mean, there's other programs. Miami has a lot of money invested. Oregon, so it is certainly not the money alone, but did the money impact the culture here in a different way? Did the coaches not recognize it was happening? And again, I'm not sitting here telling you definitively, yep, that's what's happened.
No.
But I think it is a fair question to be asking now.
So here's something to think about, Ironhead. I know you're a big live music guy. The by far the wealthiest metal act in music is Metallica. They're on their own level.
Yep.
And whatever you could say about Lars Ulrich ruining Napster back in the early 2000s.
Yep.
Like, they made their name by just working their butts off and making great music. And they are, from what I've told, I mean, I saw them once Newsted left the band. That was the end of Metallica for me. So I haven't seen them live since, but I saw them live back in the day.
I'm with you.
And they were great. And they're still great now. There's nothing to say that you can't be financially successful and still go out and work your butt off, right?
Yes.
It happens all the time. And you're talking about Ohio State and the culture they had coming back from the Michigan game. One of my favorite players on that team, which is probably now one of your favorites too, because he's a Pittsburgh Steeler, is Jack Sawyer, right?
Yep.
And do you remember the video clip that came out of him on the field after they lost to Michigan?
Yep.
Just losing his mind. And at the time, I'm like, look at this clown. They just embarrassed themselves.
I thought? He had 4 quarters to do that.
Right. That was exactly my thought. But now in retrospect, I look at it and I say, man, clearly he cared so much about that rivalry and about being an Ohio State Buckeye. And that was one of the leaders in that clubhouse and one of the playmakers for them in the playoffs. Having those kind of guys who just cared so much that it didn't matter how much money they were making. They were still in it for the pride. They were still Metallica going out and putting on a great 3-hour live show when they're multi-millionaires. Right?
That's embarrassing.
Right.
How does he show up to an alumni event and we the team up north and this and that? Well, dude, you never beat them.
I
look at my guy, Matt Finkus,
a few of those guys.
And Vrabel and Luke Fickell, the guys I played against in this and that, they never beat Michigan.
Yeah. Yep.
And those guys, those teams were loaded.
Ridiculous.
Loaded.
Yes.
God.
Lost John Cooper his job.
Absolutely, it did.
Yeah.
Did you hear that Herb Street and what's his name, Joey Galloway? They had a podcast on it.
I did hear that. If you're John Cooper, are you like, guys, come on? It's been 30 years. Can we give it a rest, guys?
Can I just
please
go away in peace? Can I at least show my face in Columbus?
I've been retired for 2 decades, and the only time anybody mentions my name is when they're like, hey, who's a guy who won a lot and is still thought of as a perpetual loser? Oh, John Cooper.
John Cooper, that guy. All the talent in the world, and they never harnessed it. One team beat them every year. But you want to recoup? I mean, what would again? Now they're comparing they were comparing James's big games to that, but
yeah,
John Cooper, he could have gotten in those playoffs, by the way, back in the day. Yes. When we have the playoffs now, he would be in those playoffs.
A 12-team playoff would have changed the legacy of a lot of coaches and programs.
No doubt about that, brother.
All right, a couple of things from the messages. Mental mistakes fall squarely on the shoulders of the coach. Yes, but also if you're a 5th or 6th year senior, like you got to know the game well enough at this point. Yes, but with an asterisk that, also veteran leadership. If we struggle offensively against Northwestern, would you guys be worried? We're already worried. I'm not waiting to struggle against Northwestern. And truthfully, even a great performance offensively by Northwestern, again, I think that would be a good indication that maybe, all right, that things are turning around. But I'm not, like, if they win this game against Northwestern 63-0, I'm not going to be coming on next week and say, all right, guys, nothing to worry about. They got the Buckeyes. Sure. They got Indiana. Like, hey, good first step. Now let's see if they can take it on the road. Yes.
That's table stakes.
Yes. I mean, very worried. But yeah, I'm not waiting for a Northwestern performance to have the worry meter on high here with the offense. Northwestern has a good defense, kind of handicapped by Stone on offense. To add to Reynolds, shouldn't Dinkins be the next man up at tight end? He's paid his dues. He's been more consistent catching the ball. Again, I think they have 3 really good tight ends, really good, and I'm okay. I don't have a problem with the way the ball's
out there a lot. So
I think the answer to that question about who's kind of like quote unquote tight end 1 is the ceiling for Luke Reynolds is considerably higher than it is for Dinkins, because I think we've seen. I agree, Dinkins is very reliable as a receiver, but on a pretty limited route tree.
Yes,
Reynolds gives you the opportunity to do a lot more with him from his tight end spot than Dinkins does, which he does a set number of things very well, but I think that's what you see is what you get at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. All right, any parting shots from anybody here?
Northwestern, could be a pretty bad show Tuesday if these guys don't come out ready to play.
Again, to me, I'll just go back to my original point. I think we will learn whether or not there is a chance that we aren't going to know one way or the other. Well, we could know one way. If they come out and there's not some passion, there's not some energy on that sideline, and they win by 10 points and it looks ugly, to me, this is a season that is not going to be salvaged then, whether they lose at Iowa but they're going to have a couple more losses then somewhere along the way. If they come out, play with energy, have some fire, again, I don't think it definitively says, all right, everything's on track, but it's like, all right, there's a chance here that they are going to get to 9-3, which to me would be salvaging this season given where they're at right now.
One at a time, baby, one at a time. Booch, I love you on the show, brother. You know that.
Yeah, they're lots of fun. I'm just going to close by shouting out Ethan Lemin, the executive director of Penn State Homecoming. He and his team have done an awesome job putting together a great week of events and not the greatest circumstances in terms of getting everybody up to celebrate the glory of Old State. But it is homecoming, and on its worst day, as I said at the end of obligatory this week, it's still the best to be a Nittany Lion. So there's a lot of reasons to celebrate it. Enjoy the parade. Enjoy your tailgates. Woo! Enjoy the win over Northwestern. Go Little Lions. Go Phillies. Go Birds.
And go Penn State hockey. Home opener tonight against Clarkson.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kia Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia. 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA Sports Authority.